Hello everyone, welcome back to day one dev channel. Today we're going to do one more practice exercise. So let's start with our another problem statement from CKAD. Right. So you can see here I'm logging into system and the terminal window, which you do not require to do this job out of activity on your exam, but technically you have to do this, the one which I'm copying that context, you have to run this on your part. So I'll clear this part which is not required. The first task, as I was calling out in my previous videos also, this is one of the best layout which I figured out after taking a multiple Kubernetes exam. This is more hands-on. The left panel you cannot adjust except adjusting your size, your question part. And the top is a browser. It will allow you to open only Kubernetes documentation. And this is your terminal. So I try to keep it in this format so it's easier for me to jump between my documentation and a terminal window. All right, perfect. So let's check our first namespaces before we talk about a task. All right, so I have two namespaces beside the standard defaults. And the first task, it says run a job on a schedule. So typically, I need to create a namespace, and I think there's a cron job called PWD runner, and it by default it's a Nginx, blue box image, and the command we are doing it in PWD, and the command is a keyword you have to look at it. Command takes longer than 10 seconds. All right, so we're going to do that stuff. First, let's create our sample YAML file because I don't think we can add this in our Kubernetes documentation does not allow us to do that, or maybe let me see. No, we can't do that. At least I don't see here any of this adding extra parameters to keeping alive. So you can see here, I already have brought it up, documentation, cron job, because this is also called as a cron job, and look into this standard here. All right, so you can adjust this part if you need it, if you need a more room to see it. So I'm going to create the same thing, create cron job, and the name it is a PWD runner. And namespace is 1, and the image is a busy box, and I'll do a schedule because it's called out at least one, so it should be default 5 start. Oh, not 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll tell you why it's a star because it did not give out any job. Calling out how frequently the job has executed, so I'm setting as a by default everything as a standard. So as a previous videos I called out, I don't do command here because it's never had any better experience when I'm doing it. It's always mess up my format. So I'll just go ahead and I'll do this and I'll modify that. PWD runner.yaml. Okay, perfect. All right, so we are good on this part till here. What is the one you have to do is command, which I'm gonna do here. This resource is not required for me now. I'll just do command to the PWD. I'm gonna do this. Okay. Now this is also great timestamp is not required. I'll remove this part. So I don't need it. I don't need to carry a null value, so it's your choice if you want to have it. Okay, perfect. Now let's go to the one which we have to look for. I was searching for this. Okay, we have to look for active deadline. Let me type it. Okay, perfect. We need this kind of a active deadline. So as you see here, it should be configured because to keep it 10 seconds. So we're going to do that, and the template of this one here, data spec, created. Say active, just make sure that it is typo. You're not going to do that. This is a big mistake which I do in my exam. When I read as a to deadline seconds, I always think that every word is uppercase, but the deadline is not uppercase. It's only D is uppercase, not a L. So let's do this, run this job, apply minus PWD. All right. So now we want to check for whether we have a job running. Okay. Okay. So we have to look for this job, the last schedule, then only the value is going to be active. Okay. We'll come back and we'll do after we are done with the second task. Perfect. So the second task calls out, we have to do in deployment Nginx dependent. So then we are going to do namespace. We have two images, the Nginx stable. There are three replicas, expose at port 8080 and add environment variables, container. My guess is there might be something here because it's asking as the environment variables. That means there might be config or secret. So let's do quick check on that. Config map, and because it isn't said secret, by default I'm guessing is the config map, but still I'm running both uh, to see that. Okay. Oh, sorry, it's no space. All right, perfect. I see only config maps. I don't see anything. So they are all environment variables and container called Nginx port with the port 8080, Nginx container listening on port 8080. All right. So let's see. This is a CS cert one as a config map. I don't think we need it because it's a default one. Let's explore because the image has a Nginx here. My guess is this might be the one. Let's check both. So let's do describe cm slash cube root CRT. It's a cert. So I don't think when two. Okay. All right. This looks like we have a certificate key, the CS cert, and the value is something. Let's look for the other one, which about the name Nginx. I think Nginx. I remembered after that is a template. Let's do a quick check out here. Nginx. Oh yeah, Nginx template. This one. You see my cursor. Better I'll copy and paste it there, so I don't do any typos. All right. So let's see this. Okay, this looks so, what is it? Okay, this looks like a default config template, which is Nginx 2. Okay, it has something, some value, it has it. It looks like this is the file. Oh yeah, this is the Nginx file. This is, my guess is this is the one because we are using Nginx table. All right, so let's go to our part. Let's look for a deployment. We'll generate a YAML file. Then we'll come back and we'll update with the environment variables. Okay. So create, deploy, deploy nginx -dep -n2. We're doing this. Okay, then we need an image. Create nginx stable replicas equals to 3. Then next is a port 8081. Nginx. Okay, let's bring part. We're going to do this. Okay, so we'll do YAML equals client nginx. Yep, dot. All right, perfect. We got a replicas 3. We got nginx dependent. Got nginx image. Port. We got it. Okay. So this till here we are perfect. Let's remove this last two, which is not required for me. All right. Till here we are done. Now let's do environment variables, right? So we're going to define environment variables. Environment variables And to define an environment variable, I hope you guys have remembered, we have to define a volumes. If you remember the previous one, then it's easier. Config env. Okay, this is a config map. We don't need to do this. We should find for a pod, which is for us. Okay, you can see here. We have a defined environment variables. We're defining it in a pod, and there should be where is it, volume? Because it's a file, so we need a volume. Right. The pod, or this is a pod, this is a config. It's not a reference. We need we'll start on this part. Okay. So we'll keep a pause for a minute for volumes. We'll do that work. Meanwhile, we'll define it. Okay. So we'll go for Nginx environment name, because it says Nginx port uppercase, right? So we need a value defining as port 8081. It's called out here. Then we need volume mounts. Perfect. There you go. This is what we need. Okay. Now let's get on part volumes. Then we're going to do volume mount. So what is the value it's asking for? So in Nginx, remember we had a template. I'll call a volume because it doesn't say how to read them. So we don't need it. Just it's a mounting we need it. All right. So we define it in if cd Nginx templates, right? We had a volume mount. We did it because we created a volume there, which is a key, and we have a value, right? Perfect. Now let's go to the volumes which we were doing it. Just the Nginx one template volume, which we have defined it for volume mounts. Volume. Okay. Then we're going to define a config map. Because that's you can see here. Define it. Config map. It's uppercase. Oh yeah. Config map. We'll define it. And then we need a name. That's two spaces. Name and Nginx template. If you remember, we did that part. Then we need items there. Do you just remember what was our item there? If not, we'll come back here. I'll just put a name. Items. We'll define key. We'll come back and we'll do that. Even I don't recollect, so let's do a quick checkout for that. Yeah. Okay, default config template. Let's copy this page. Let's go back. So key we need. In exam, you can open two terminal windows if you wanted, but in this practice, you cannot open two terminal windows. So that way, it's easier for you if you go there and modify state in this. So you don't need to exit the way I did it now. All right. So let's do it. And before, let's do execute this, and we'll check our first part if you guys remember, which we haven't done that yet. Volume mounts name not found. Okay, let's do fix that. Yeah, there's a typo. Yeah, you see that? Let me see you. Perfect. That's a silly mistake I do most of the time in exam. All right, so let's get a cron job. What we were doing it in Yan or ONE. Perfect. We had this part, so we are good on this part. We should be good on this. So let's do a verify. It should work out. Perfect. There you go. Both the jobs are right. All right. I hope you guys have learned something new, and we'll see you in the next video.